What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Hot and Cold, whatever the hell week this is. Nobody knows anymore, thanks to the NBA Cup mushing weeks together. This is technically the 10th week of the NBA season. It's period 9 in a lot of different places. I'm going to call it week 10. Screw everybody. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and I'm calling it week 10. I'm Dan Besbris. This is Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Find me immediately on social media at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris. We do a lot between shows over on Twitter. I know it's a hellscape, but people in your league are going to beat you to players if you're not on social media to get the news exactly when it drops. This show is about who the hottest and coldest players are in all of fantasy basketball. It's fantasy basketball hot and cold. That's why we call it that. And we're finally back to having teams playing like 3 to 4 times a week. I know Christmas Day and the day before and all that stuff, we had the day off, but the massive Monday kind of took care of that. Make sure to follow me, as I mentioned, on Twitter. I'm also on Blue Sky at Old Man Squad Fantasy over on Instagram. Take a second to please like, rate, and subscribe to the channel. I want to keep growing this bad boy. We are going to be tracking the risers and the fallers over the last week. Who's moved up the board the most, who's moved down the board the most. And then a few of those names, color-coded for you folks watching on the YouTubes, are names that I would like to talk a little bit more about in terms of what you might be able to get back for those guys. Let's start at the top. We'll start to work our way through. The biggest leaper over the last week is none other than Mark Williams, which makes me so happy to say he's finally getting there. He played 26 minutes in the Hornets' last ball game. That was on Thursday night. He had a huge game. He's a pretty good passer. I think we've all forgotten that he's a pretty good passer for a big man. Last year, I'm pretty sure we all forgot, he actually had a 2020 game before he went down. I know he played a month and a half, but he's got that in the tank. This guy's a good rebounder. He can score. He can pass. He gets some defensive stats. He's very good for percentages. He's up to number 119 right now, and he's barely playing. I mean, he's starting to, but he's at 119 in 16 minutes a game. And admittedly, the line levels off. He's not going to continue at that same pace, but this dude has legitimate top 50 potential. Is it a sell high? Hell no. He's just getting where he belongs all along. Bobby Portis up 37 spots over the past week. He is the second biggest leaper in all of fantasy sports, and he's up to number 102. And this past week is really the sort of, why, Dan, did you kind of have some interest in Bobby Portis at the beginning of the year? And I've been feeling kind of bad about that one for a while now. He was in my second group of flyers behind. The first group of flyers had Norman Powell, Dyson Daniels, Cam Johnson, Trace Jackson-Davis, which also wasn't panning out and maybe looks a little better lately. Trey Murphy was an injury. And the next group featured Bobby Portis and PJ Washington. I was like, damn, what did I get so wrong there? Well, the thing I got wrong was that, and it's so easy to forget this, when the guys in front of a player are healthy, you're not getting what you intended to out of that player. And prior to this week, Giannis had been very healthy. Brook Lopez, I don't think he's missed a game yet. And part of the calculation on Portis was he's going to get his big games when one of those guys is out. And I know Brook Lopez has been, oddly, a pillar of health over the last couple of years. After all that foot stuff, he just never misses a game anymore, other than missing an entire year with a back problem. But he's come back and he's been fine from that. Old dude just plays every day. Giannis, we knew would get some time off, but lately it's been an illness that's knocked him out for a couple of ball games. For the most part, he's been pretty healthy other than that. So we've only had like 2 prior to this week, Bobby Portis potential explodor games. And now all of a sudden, no Giannis, no Dame happens at the same time. Well, Bobby gets to go crazy. So he pushes himself back up. Now, technically on the season, Portis is a playable guy. He's number 102. He's played, I think, in every game except for one. So by averages, by totals, whatever, he looks like he's been a playable guy all year. But if you break it down into the game by game, you can see very distinctly that when that team is healthy, Portis is like a top 175 kind of guy. And then when Giannis is out, he's, top 100. And when Giannis and Dame are out together, he's, more like a top 30 kind of guy, going crazy the last week. I don't know. And I color-coded Portis green because he's a guy that I did want to spend a little bit more time on. I don't know if you can get anything for him. And if you can, I don't know what it would be. But he's ranked right around the edge of the top 100. And so if you can get someone that's in that neighborhood, or maybe even a tiny bit behind it, that has a little bit of upward trajectory to them, that's the direction I would go. Guys that are behind Bobby Portis in the ranks, I think you might have an outside shot to get. Keegan Murray, kind of a low name value sort of dude. CJ McCollum was trending the wrong way, but I mean, maybe he's scoring 20 points a game, so that one probably doesn't pass through. Ayo Dosunmu, who's one of my favorite, long-term stash types. Valanciunas, Herb Jones, Jrue Holiday. I don't know if there's anybody else that I really want all that bad. Maybe Naz Reid would be interesting because he's in the similar bucket to Portis where the guys in front of him also haven't missed any games. But Naz is 40 slots higher than Portis was before the guys in front of Bobby started missing games. Anyway, Portis is your first sell high on this list. And you know what's not a sell high? Bet Online. They're the number one source for online betting and the world's most trusted betting platform. They've got football, they've got basketball, college and pro. They've got hockey, they've got UFC, they've got in-game live betting and the ability to watch the games as they happen. They've got what you need to satisfy that craving. Head to Bet Online today. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. Joel Embiid is the third biggest leaper week over week. He's up 35 slots to a very respectable 50-something now, 53 at Basketball Monster. He's only played in 9 games so far this year, so one of the big reasons that he's been able to leap as far as he has is because you're still working with small sample size stuff. One big game changes his season averages considerably. His team's played 28, so he's, hadn't played in that many. A lot of folks out there, and actually, I might be alone on this one. And maybe it's because I'm a roto guy. It's possible. But I actually think I'm the only person that's not trying to sell high on Joel Embiid right now. And I'm actually kind of okay with that because, well, okay, let's just set this marker. If you can get a top 25 guy back for Joel Embiid, you do it. I don't think that's not even trying to get off of Embiid. That's getting a legitimate, solid fantasy player coming back. I just don't think there's anyone who's going to give you that. If you're selling Joel Embiid right now, the best you're getting back is probably like a top 35 kind of guy. Like a De'Aaron Fox, maybe. And that's one that I would consider. But, you're not getting Kyrie Irving back. You're not getting Kevin Durant back for Embiid. You're not going to get Booker or JJJ. These things are, it's just not happening. You're not getting LaMelo Ball. People are too afraid of Embiid. They could also be afraid of LaMelo, I guess. But it's just not happening. You're going to get someone back like a Darius Garland. And to me, that's not worth it. I would rather take a shot that Embiid can stay upright for the next, couple of weeks. And we talked about it on another show recently. By the way, I don't know why I'm doing a long spiel about why you're not selling high on Embiid, but whatever. We're into it now, so let's just keep going. Philly only has one back-to-back between now and January 14th. So there's a lot of rest days in there for Joel's knee. They don't play tonight. I'm recording this. What day is today? Today's Friday. They play tomorrow, Saturday, depending on when you're watching the show, I guess. Off Sunday, on Monday, off Tuesday. They have a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back on a road trip next week. He'll almost definitely skip one of those 2 games, giving him 2 days of rest between something. So, there's a chance here that Embiid plays in all but one game for Philly over the next 2-ish and change weeks. This is the perfect time, I think, to roll the dice. Keep him. Or hell, if you can buy him for a Darius Garland type, this would be the time to do it. And then maybe try to move off of Embiid after these 2 weeks are up, depending on how it's going. Now, maybe he's just power blasting everyone, and then you're going to not want to sell high. But that's the perfect time to do it. Because 2 weeks from now, right now, Embiid is averaging 21, 7, and 4 on only 43% shooting from the field. 2 weeks from now, if he's not quite as rusty with his field goal percent, he might be at like 26, 9, and 4.5 with over a block and 47% shooting. We might be talking about an Embiid who's not, right now he's a 5th rounder. Again, small sample size stuff. He might be a 2nd rounder by the end of these 2 weeks. If he stays up. Obviously, if he goes down, you lose the ability to sell him for almost anything. But I'm willing to roll the dice there. Anyway, let's keep moving here. KCP up 35 slots. That's because the Magic have nobody left. Klay Thompson up 31 slots. Interestingly, not all of this was with somebody out. Klay got hot. He had a better shooting game. He still had 42% overall for the year. But he's over 3 threes in only 12 shots a game. And Luka's out for probably a month and a half. So this is a perfect time to have Klay Thompson. Maybe ride it for like 2 weeks and then sell on Klay. We can reapproach that like January 10th or something when Luka's probably still out another month. So you can still sell the idea to someone that you're going to get more out of Klay. If you wait too long, no one's going to want him because they're going to be like, oh, Luka's coming back. I'm good. Miles Bridges is up 29 slots over the last week. It's about damn time, Miles Bridges. He's up to number 89 overall, but he still has a little bit of room to grow. That field goal percent should probably get up into the 45, 46 range. I think we probably see a couple more steals. So maybe 0.6 gets up to like 0.8, 0.9. And then we're talking about a 65-ish range dude. So all of his recent run has done is kind of closed the door on a potential Miles Bridges buy low. Malik Beasley up 24 slots. He just keeps hitting 3-pointers. That's his jam right now. Overall on the year, he's number 122. Over the last month, he's kind of sitting just inside the top 100. When he gets hot, he jumps up into the 60s. When he gets cold, he falls outside the top 100. You can keep streaming as long as it keeps working. Although at some point, he's going to hit one of those Malik Beasley sort of trademark ice cold stretches. And the problem, of course, and he's been so good at 3-pointers that it's overshadowed the fact that he does nothing else for fantasy. If that ever dries up even a little bit, 2 or 3 games where he only hits 6 threes over the totality of those 3 games instead of in one night, that's the bottom falling out. LeBron James jumped 20 slots. This was the culmination here. We're not even actually quite all the way at it. LeBron is back up into the 3rd round in overall value. He probably continues to trend up, although we're not that far away from his expected final spot. I think the hope was that the steals might be a little bit higher, but the field goal percent is approaching 50 now. Not that you'd want to sell high on LeBron, but he has been really hot lately to get back into the 3rd round after falling into the 5th. So if you could sell Bron for a 2nd round guy, I would do it, but it's not really your trademark sell high. Desmond Bane up 20 slots, which is kind of amazing considering the Grizzlies haven't had a competitive game in a week. He's up to number 79. Your buy low window's probably mostly shut unless you could get him for someone in the 60s, but that's razor's edge on value. Jonas Valanciunas up 18 slots. There's no real rhyme or reason to when he gets a little bit more playing time. Some of it is a competitive game. Some of it was that Alex Sarr missed one night. He's a limited upside center. I mean, we're talking like chance JV gets inside the top 90 is so minimal. And if he gets traded, there isn't a whole lot there. So is it a sell high moment for JV? I don't know. He's only at number 117 overall. But if you could flip him for a different center nearby, it's kind of the same way I feel about Jalen Duren right now. These two guys that are a little warm at the moment. And I think Duren pops up on the next page as a sell high. JV is sort of like a secondary. He didn't get color-coded green, but he's an almost sell high. Go see if you can get Dereck Lively. It's probably not going to work, but try. Is there anybody else around there that you could even get for Valanciunas? Not really. I don't think you're going to get anybody useful. You're probably stuck. Jrue Holiday up 18 slots. That's another real about time kind of deal. He's still not where we need him to be because he's only shooting 44.8% from the field. Steals are finally getting close to where we wanted them. Blocks are still low. He is like 4 field goal percentage points away from being a very reasonable top 90 guy, but he's not there yet. So just keep hanging on. Dyson Daniels up 16 slots, back into the mid-second round, thanks to a 2-game span where he had 14 steals again. This dude is crazy. He is comfortably over 3 steals per game, and he is very much a sell high off that insane run. I don't know what you're going to be able to get for him. That's the other side of this, but you got to at least explore it. Like if you can get a fellow top 25 guy who's not so reliant on one category, you do it. You know, Dyson Daniels, Wemby's blocks and Dyson Daniels steals are the 2 single largest impact offensive numbers in the NBA right now because of how far out in front they are of anybody else in difficult to accrue categories. Trae Young leads the league in assists at 12. The second place guy is Cade at 9.7, and Trae would still need about another 2.5 assists to have the same kind of impact as Dyson Daniels in steals. He'd have to be averaging like 14 and change assists. Rebounds. Cat has almost 14 a game. He would need at least 15, probably more like 16 a game to have that same kind of impact. It's actually kind of insane when you think about how impactful that one category's been. Because it's a hard one to get. It's a low volume category, and he's just destroying everybody. He's almost 50% higher than anyone else in the NBA. Dejounte Murray's at 2.3, but he missed a bunch of ball games. Like, there's just nobody catching Dyson Daniels right now. So you got to try to sell on the shoulders of those insanely big steals games. If you don't get the return you want, obviously you stay put. But again, like if I can get it, even at top 25 would be the best case scenario. I would take top 35 back. Could I get De'Aaron Fox for Dyson Daniels? I would sure as hell do it. And I don't even want De'Aaron Fox all that much this year. I thought he was going to take a small step back, and he has. Despite a free throw percent bump, if that ever comes down, yeesh. I don't think you're getting Tyrese Halliburton, not with the way he's played. I mean, would I trade Dyson Daniels for Darius Garland? I might consider it. If the Cavs ever play some competitive games, Garland will do even more than he's doing right now. Tyler Hero, no, I think he's headed down. Norm Powell, no. LeBron, yeah, I'd take LeBron back. Both these guys are a little bit of sell high. A bunch of sell highs in that same range. Goga Bitadze is up 16 slots. He's just chugging along. He's up to number 64. Is he a sell high? Absolutely. Are you going to get anything for him? You're not. Because anybody who's playing fantasy basketball at this point knows the Magic are down. Everybody. No Paolo. No Franz. Mo Wagner's out for the year. Goga's had free reign. Is he still going to be useful the rest of the season? I think the answer is probably yes. He seems to have leapfrogged Wendell Carter Jr., and he should, because Wendell's not very good. And Goga's defensively provides more of what the Magic are looking for. He's also been able to do it in 24 minutes a game because the free throw percent's been good. The steals have been big. Blocks we always knew we were going to get. And that field goal percent, man, at 65% is really more than I think we ever could have possibly expected from Goga. And that'll stay as good players come back. That's a thing that won't fall off. The thing you're looking at with him is, would opportunity, does it get squeezed a little bit? Maybe a hair. So I don't think I would sell high because I don't think you're going to get enough. And I think people don't realize that he's probably going to just stay a top 90 guy most of the way through. Page 2 on risers. We got to move faster. This show's never going to end. Collin Sexton up 16 slots. That's mostly because Keontae George has been out. Also, Jordan Clarkson in the last one. Trey Murphy's up 15 slots. He might be a little bit of a sell high. He's up to number 47. It's not that his percentages are off in any way. It's just that he's getting 15 shots a game. And if we ever hear back from Zion or Brandon Ingram, that's a number that'll come down. But I also don't think people value Trey Murphy as a top 50 guy, so you're probably better off just hanging on and enjoying it. Dejounte Murray's up 15. He'll probably continue to move up the board. Larry Nance is up 15, and that's because Onyeka Okongwu's out. Amen Thompson is up 14 slots and rising, but of course that is because Dillon Brooks has been out, not Tari Eason. That one didn't really help Amen all that much. And unfortunately, Dillon Brooks sounds like he's closer to coming back. Nope, actually got ruled out. Good news, everyone. Dillon Brooks is already out for Friday. So, hot damn, enjoy another great game of Amen Thompson. Don't sell, just enjoy it. This brings us to our next sell high, our third out of 4 names, and that's Jalen Duren, who, again, it's not like he's flying up the board. Duren's up 14 slots, which, like, that would be great if he wasn't from 174 to 160. But it coincides, not surprisingly, with the fact that Isaiah Stewart's been out. And the last 3 games, Duren is top 65, 12 and 10 with a steal, a block, 77% from the field, 77% at the free throw line. That's happening in 31 minutes a game. That's a number that won't last when Isaiah Stewart comes back. This top 70 Jalen Duren is what everybody thought they were getting when they drafted him. But if he makes mistakes right now, Paul Reed comes on, and he's okay, but he can't do what Stewart does. So try to sell Durant. You're not going to be able to get a top 65 guy back for him, but if you can get like a top 80-something range center, you absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. Centers in that range, you're probably not going to... I mean, you could go get Goga, for all I care, who's also a little bit of a sell high, but probably not as severe of one. Centers between 65 and 100, DeAndre Ayton, Rudy Gobert, Ivica Zubac, Dereck Lively. I think I would take any of those guys back for Duren at this point. Dillon Brooks is up 14 slots, and then he promptly got hurt. He just was going on a heater. Mikal Bridges is up another 13 slots thanks to his Mondo Christmas Day performance. That is a one-game effort that should actually afford you an opportunity to sell high, which is interesting because we called him a buy low when he was ranked about 105. Now he's just gone zooming past the midpoint. I think we've seen a full pendulum with Bridges because he's now at 50% from the field instead of 44 or whatever it was before. And that probably settles back into the 47, 48 range. And everything else, all things kind of equal, that would just push him down a round or two. If you can get someone else in the 60s, you do it. If the best you can get back for Bridges is 75 or 80, I don't know what the point is unless there's just a different stat set that you wanted. So that's your cutoff with Mikal. Try to get someone in the 60s back. That's your target. Dereck Lively's up 13 slots. That's because he's taking over. He's actually a buy low, believe it or not, if people don't realize that he's taken over that center job. Tyrese Maxey up 12 slots. That's just good news for Maxey. Jeremy Sochan is up 11. That's cool. He's had a pretty good week. Nice to see him up inside the top 100, despite the mildly clunky free throw number. He's moved past that. He's just an all 12-team 9-cat guy right now. Bradley Beal up 9 slots, mostly just to highlight the fact that he's finally played, 2 games in a row or something like that. There's no Devin Booker, but it's not really a sell high. I mean, I guess it is because he's probably going to be hurt again in a week, but you're not going to get what you'd want. Beal's number 70 in 9-cat right now, with a low free throw percent at the moment. Everything else is relatively sustainable for him. Yeah, per game, he could probably push his way up into the 50s. If you can sell Beal, same thing. Aim for 60s. Try to get 60s back, but it's not a sell high because he's not even there yet. It's just a try to get off of a guy. Kevin Durant up 8 slots. Yes, some of that is Booker being out. Some of it is just KD's awesome. He's number 13 now. He's a turn guy. And then Jalen Johnson up 5, which, by the way, the reason KD and Jalen Johnson are on today's show up 5 and 8 slots, it doesn't sound like that much. It's hard as hell to move 5 and 8 slots when you're in the second round or above. And Jalen Johnson moved from 19 to 14, KD from 21 to 13. Even harder for Johnson, by the way, because he's played 10 more games than KD. It's so cool. Those guys are right on the cusp of first-round value. Let's go to the fallers. It's a much shorter list. Thank the good Lord, because the risers was a lot. Jerami Grant down 35 slots. He is the biggest faller of the week. Congratulations, Jerami Grant. You have stunk. And it's why anytime he goes on the shortest of heaters, we tell you guys, sell. Get off the Jerami Grant wagon. Titanic? Yeah. It's probably a cruise ship headed for an iceberg. He'll bounce back. I mean, Grant will have a better ball game. I would never call him a buy low because I don't want to be in the Jerami Grant business, but also, he's shooting 38% for the year, and his usage is way down over the last week and a half. At some point, he'll get warm again, and then he'll take a bunch of shots for a week, and he'll push himself back up to, 105, 110. And when that happens, abandon ship. So if you're a riverboat gambler and, you're like flipping houses, Jerami Grant is a house flipper right now. You could buy and then sell, but I don't have the time or patience for that. So that's why we move on. Bennedict Mathurin down 27 slots, but Obi Toppin just went down in the Pacers' last ball game, which might afford Mathurin just a little bit of space to maybe get himself going again. He's dramatically over-rostered right now, given how bad he's been for almost a month. But if ever there was a time to maybe think about playing him, it would be in the next ball game if Toppin's out. Justin Champagnie down 22 slots because Kispert, Keyshawn George, Malcolm Brogdon all came back and ruined the party. Devin Vassell down 21 slots despite the minutes trending up. This is a fun little confluence of things that have given us a new buy low window. Because Vassell is good. And the stats haven't caught up with it. I think you can get him for a 100 range guy still. He's number 135. I don't think people expect him to get to that top 60. Maybe he doesn't. But 100 feels like a no-brainer. What guys around there would make sense? CJ McCollum. Give up CJ McCollum for Devin Vassell. That's my one. That'll get it done. If you don't have CJ, offer up Klay while Luka's out. That might get it done. I'm trying to look for guys that have some name recognition here. You're not going to get anything for Dennis Schroeder right now, I'm afraid. Sorry, guys. Maybe his teammate, Jeremy Sochan, who's been rocking percentages lately, and those will probably level off as well. Christian Brown trending the wrong way, but maybe would get it done. Go try to get Devin Vassell. That's the short version. He's going to be better than he has been, and the handicap on that is don't even worry about the stats he's put up right now. Just worry about the fact that his minutes are in the 30s. And on the season, if you're looking at the full season, he's at 26. So just take what he's doing and add freaking 25, 30% to it. Malik Monk is down 20 slots. He is not a buy low for me because I'm genuinely concerned that with the Kings in a free fall, he might not be in the starting lineup in a day, 2 days, a week, whatever. I think if you can still sell on Malik Monk, you probably should. Ochai Agbaji down 20 slots, which, again, we knew this would happen as R.J. Barrett came back. Scotty Barnes is back. Has been for a little bit longer. If Emmanuel Quickley happens to show up, then Abaji's really fallen off a cliff. But at this point, he was a streamer to begin with, and you can move on from that. My second buy low on the hot cold show is Paul George, who's shooting a robust 40.5% from the field, 80 at the free throw line. And yeah, I mean, we knew the usage was going to be down this year, but he's still at almost 6 rebounds, 5 assists, almost 2 steals. There's a lot of stuff with Paul George that looks actually pretty freaking good right now. But so far, dude cannot throw. You broadside of a barn, pebble in the ocean. There's a Chick Hearnism, I think. And this is a career 44% field goal guy and a career 38% three-point guy. And if you want to just roll it all together, this is always the fun part. In aggregate, the effective field goal percent and free throw. Those are the two numbers you can look at with a guy. Effective field goal percent for Paul George this year is 47.5. That's the lowest since the year his leg exploded in Indiana. That's 10 years ago. And since then, he's been at 49, 53, 52, 53, 54, 56, 49. Oh, no. I think he was playing hurt that year. 54, 57, and now 47.5. That number's coming up. And again, 3-point percentage way down, 2-point percent down, free throw percent down. This is a guy that's been at 85 to 90% for years, and he's at 80 so far this year. Paul George, to me, is one of the clearest buy lows on the table, and people are losing faith in him. He's ranked 68th, and just a field goal percent tick back, field goal and free throw if you get both, moves him at least 25 slots up the board. probably more. You should be looking to buy on Paul George with anyone slightly overperforming, basically in the 45 range, anywhere between like 75 and 45. If you have an overperformer, Trey Murphy would be a really good one. If Tari Eason wasn't hurt, he would be a good one. Brook Lopez is a good one. Chris Paul is probably a good one. You know me. I like my Chris Paul, though. That's a hard one to pry out of my fingers, my cold, dead hands. If you're willing to give up Jared Allen, if you don't need the big man stats as much, get Paul George. Jordan Poole? Nope. I'll go Paul George. I know that some of that is the turnover thing. You might want Poole and his wild shooting. I'd prefer Paul George. Miles Turner, Bam Adebayo, Isaiah Hartenstein, all these guys. Paul George is going to pass these dudes, although Bam is a little bit of a buy low also. Get yourself some Paul George, people. He's the number one target. Peyton Pritchard is down 16 slots. This was a thing that we just kind of saw coming. Daniel Gafford is down 16 slots. He's a sell at your next opportunity guy. DeMar DeRozan, fellow old man, also in a bit of a buy low posture right now. And frankly, most of the Kings are. That's a team in free fall. DeMar is number 120 over his last 10 ball games, shooting 43.5% on only 13.5 shots per game. Even if the shots hold, you figure the field goal percent will rebound, but the assists are low because everybody stinks right now. His rebounds are low. DeMar didn't just forget how to play basketball at the beginning of December. He'll be fine. And I would try to buy him for someone in that same, well, a little bit back of Paul George. I think PG actually finishes ahead of DeRozan this year, but it's not by that much. So think about those same guys. Mikal Bridges is hot as hell right now. He's a great guy to use to try to get these types of players. Scotty Barnes is the last buy name on the list. There's a few more cold players I want to talk about. But Scotty currently at 28 and 7, 1.3 steals, only 0.7 blocks, 45-73 are the splits, 1.73 pointers. I don't think Scotty Barnes gets up to the second round. So let's just put that out there right now. Meaning it might be kind of hard to buy low because someone who drafted him is going to want to get a second rounder back because that's what they spent. But they probably shouldn't have because Scotty Barnes' blocks last year, I don't want to say that they weren't sustainable. We just didn't know. Was it one big blocks year or was he now a big blocks guy? A lot can still change this season. He could still have like a 5-block game coming up and completely adjust those numbers in one night. But everything else for Scotty looks pretty damn similar to last year, with the percentages being sort of the thing we're still waiting on, besides blocks. The minutes are down 1. Some of that is injury related. So the scoring is the same. The steals are the same. The assists are up. The rebounds are the same. Effective field goal percent is down a little bit from 53 to 50. Do I think it comes back? Yeah, probably a little. He's taking more three-pointers, so and he's not a great three-point shooter. 28% on 6 a ball game. That's got to be lower. You got it. No. Free throw is low. I think that probably ticks up a little bit. But overall with Barnes, he's a buy low, but I don't know if you can get him low enough. I think we're talking about a guy who's more like a top 40, 45 guy instead of top 25 because the blocks are getting cut in half. Everything else pretty much the same. If the effective field goal percent comes up a little and the usage stays up a little, he could get maybe to 21, 22 points instead. Maybe the threes come up a tad if he can get that into the 30% range, 33. But I don't know that these things are going to happen. So, yeah, Scotty Barnes is definitely a buy low, but what it takes to get him is the big, sort of the elephant in the room. He's number 72 right now. Somebody probably drafted him around 20. They're probably expecting to get a 30-something guy back, and I'm not willing to give that up. I'll give up a 45 to 55 range, and I don't know if that's going to get the job done. But you can try it. Try Pascal Siakam. Try, nobody wants Jimmy Butler right now. Try Jamal Murray, Jared Allen, DeMar DeRozan, who's cold right now. You could try Jalen Brunson, I guess. He's safer, but if you want to roll the dice that Scotty Barnes can zip past him, I think he can. I think I'd rather have Barnes over Brunson. So maybe that's the one that, but that's just like, again, how much are you really winning there? I think you can give it a try. Just make sure that you're not doing something silly and giving up too much. And the other fallers this last week, I don't have many thoughts on them, but Adebayo's down 13. He's just having a weird year. The field goal percent has started to tick back a little bit, but the free throw is down. And I don't know. I'm not a big Bam guy. I wasn't a big Bam guy before the year, and I'm not a big Bam guy now. Whatever. Derek White down 9 slots. I think he'll be okay. We always knew that the role was going to shrink a little when Porzingis came back, but Porzingis might miss a game. And Jrue Holiday keeps missing games, and the Celtics like to rest guys when they have a bunch of back-to-backs. Everything will be fine. Derek White is a top 30 dude, and I'm not super worried about that. Jared Allen down 9 slots. He's basically just due for one of his big games, and then he jumps back up 15. There's this weird thing happening with Allen where he has a gigantic ball game, leaps 20 slots up the board, and then over like 5 middling games, he very slowly falls back near 50. The reality of it all is Jared Allen is probably going to end up ranked somewhere between 40 and 55, and how he gets there is this weird like boink and then tick 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 boink tick 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 tick. It's like a typewriter. And then John Collins down 8 slots. I only threw him on there. 8 is not much. He is missing time right now. More to highlight the fact that he is kind of a sell high guy on the falling board. Not because I think he's about to fall off a cliff. His stats are actually pretty well buttressed by good percentages, but he's a guy that you try to get stuff before he gets moved. If he gets traded to a team where he doesn't get to do that, you could see the value fall off, kind of like Dennis Schroeder was. Quick recap for those of you that lost track of what we talked about. Bobby Portis, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Duren, and Mikal Bridges are my favorite sell guys right now. Devin Vassell, Paul George, DeMar DeRozan, and Scotty Barnes are my 4 favorite buys. Paul George being the one on that list that I feel the strongest about. And then of the sells, I think Jalen Duren is probably the one I feel the strongest about. So get off of Jalen Duren, get on to Paul George, and get down with your bad self. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's Hot Cold Week 10 at Dan Besbris on Twitter, DanBesbris. Please make sure to like and subscribe on your way out of the proceedings. And the iTunes and Spotify 5 stars have slowed a little bit. So if you haven't done it, really, legitimately, I need your help on that one. If you're listening after the fact, I know more of you are listening than are actually hitting the button. So let's try to get 100% participation on that one, and we'll roll from there. I got to go eat something. It's 12:30 out here. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for food, not fantasy, for just a minute. Have a great rest of your Friday. And first thing tomorrow morning, we'll do our week in review show. That's been a really fun one to drop on Saturdays the last couple of weekends. We'll do it again. Sunday, we'll preview week 11. Zip, we loop right back around. And as I've said a few times lately, we have between 5 and 11 games every single day until January 24th. This is a great run for fantasy basketball players because every day has something going down. Enjoy your night. I'll see you guys soon. I'm Dan. Forgot to tell you. Old Man Squad.